All right, welcome back to the channel. Today we are looking at the Tacoma Lifestyle third brake light for the 3rd gen Toyota Tacoma. So pretty nice little box. Comes with some hardware, new nuts in there, and then basically a little pamphlet explaining what the switch does. Take it out and take a look at it here. Pretty nice here. It's got the cover on it. We're not going to peel that off quite yet. And then here is that switch. And that switch again goes from the F1 style braking to the normal style braking. So we're going to go ahead and move inside and start taking everything apart. Let's go over the tools that we used here. We have some fingernail polish remover or acetone. Anything like rubbing alcohol, paint thinner, stuff like that, I wouldn't recommend using. Acetone or fingernail polish remover works great. You're going to want a small magnet. These are super cheap. You can pick them up at your local parts store, a couple of dollars. Small flathead screwdriver, as you can see, with a very small point. 1/4-inch drive. Ratchet with a deep 8mm socket. Now if you also have a deep 10mm socket, that works great. And then a short extension. The reason for this is that you have to have a deep socket to get onto the stud on the back of the light, but you also need a little bit more. Even with the socket in there, I was holding on to probably right around in here. So it's just not quite long enough. And if you have a regular 3-inch socket or 3-inch extension like this one, it's a little too long and you'll end up trying to bend your headliner way out of the way. So just a short little 1.5-inch extension works great. Again, if you have a 10mm deep socket in 1/4-inch drive, then you won't need the others. But you do need a 10mm deep socket. I didn't have one in 1/4-inch, but I had one in 3/8. Also, stubby extension, 3/8 drive ratchet, some blue towels. You can use regular paper towels, but they shred a lot easier. I prefer the blue shop towels. And then a trim tool just to get down around edges and stuff like that. And that was basically it. Not bad for the install. I would say, including filming and everything, maybe a total of 45 minutes to an hour. Not terrible for everything. So in order to access the 3rd brake light, it actually sits back here behind this area. You have to take these 2 clips out. Pretty simple. Get a flathead screwdriver, come right in here from the side, and you're going to want to kind of put even pressure down in kind of this motion down and away. You don't want to twist. If you start to twist, you'll start to push the plastic away right there. So you just want to stick the screwdriver in the little slot there and then basically pull straight down. And it's just pressure set in there, so it's not really going anywhere. Same thing on this side, might be a little easier to see. So you're just going to insert it and pull straight down. And you can see on that one, no damage. From there, these little metal clips, they literally just squeeze together. And you may need a little help getting it out of there. Sometimes you can grab a hold of the plastic and pull it, plastic piece and the clip come right out. Once you get to this point, you're going to have to reach in and go under the headliner here. So I'll kind of show you what that looks like and see if I can get a camera up in there and kind of give you a point of view from there. All right. So they say you're supposed to have a second set of hands for this. I'm going to use the GoPro as my second set of hands. And there's some holes right here and a little further over right there that you got to get into in order to get that 3rd brake light out of there. So I'm actually going to get in the back of the truck and reach up through the back window and get into those bolts there. So from the back of the truck, it's a lot easier to see. What we're going to do is I'm just going to reach up in here, and in this hole right here, there's a 10 millimeter bolt you can kind of feel. Let me see if I can get you a little better angle here. There we go. And this hole right there is the first one. And basically you can look at the back of the light and kind of see where the edges are. And then on this side, it's going to be the same thing. In that hole right up in there. So we'll take a look here and see if we can't get them undone. Quick tip here, once you get it loose, take your ratchet off, put your finger on the end of it, and then you can either use the same hand on your index and forefinger, or you can use your other hand and spin the nut off of there. Once you're confident that it's at the end and it's come completely off all the threads, which I'm pretty confident right there. Just be real easy. Keep it angled kind of up. Come down and out of there. You should, oh, didn't take the nut with us. So go back in. Actually, we'll see if we can reach it. Oh, nut's still way up in there. So we're going to put this back in there. Because if you drop that nut, it's gone. You'll be fishing that thing out of there for a while. So getting the angle on this right is what's the hardest part. There's a stud on the end of these that you can feel. And you got to kind of line it up. And once you get it lined up, there we go. You can hear it kind of fall into place. So now, use my other hand again here and do just like I was telling you before. All right, that should be pretty good there. Still not off. Oh, I got lucky. It's hanging right at the end of that post. So I'm not going to risk trying to put the bit back up in there. I'm going to go get a magnet. All right, so that magnet, we don't want to drop it. So we're just going to get it right up in here. I heard it hit. There we go. So keep you a magnet handy. And as you can see, these have a little shoulder on them. So it worked out pretty well. As we move to the outside of the truck, there is a weather stripping sealant around the whole outside of it. If you use a small trim tool, you can use it to wedge in around it and just kind of work a corner, rock it back and forth. There's no need to kind of pry outward on it, just rock it back and forth. Once you get it kind of under there, you can repeat this process around the entire outside ring. Something to take note of is these two tabs right here. So when you're pulling everything around, once you get all the weather stripping off, those tabs will prevent it from coming out. See how the bottom comes out but the top doesn't want to come out? So if you take your trim tool here and just go right behind it, right about where those tabs are, and press down on them, you can see one pops loose, the other one pops loose. They come right out. And there's those long studs we took the nuts off from the inside. unplug the harness here, and your old one is out. So now we're going to take a few minutes and we're going to clean up all this old weather stripping here and get that all cleaned up and ready for the new piece. To remove the excess weather stripping adhesive, the easiest thing to do is put a little acetone or fingernail polish remover onto a towel and saturate the part. Use a plastic putty knife and go ahead and work it around, getting rid of all of the excess material, and then make sure and do a final cleanup once complete. All right, as you can see now, we got this all cleaned up, all the old glue and everything off of it here. So now we're ready for the new one. Make sure that your clips are up just like they were on the old one, just in case you don't remember which side was the wide side and everything there. There's also a little thing here at the bottom, the DOT SAE, showing that it's Department of Transportation compliant. That will be at the bottom. And then here is your plug. So you can plug your wires right back into it. And then a word of advice before you put everything all the way back together, double check which orientation your switch is in to make sure that it is the F1 braking style or the standard braking style, whichever you prefer. So I'm going to check on that real quick and then we'll button it up. Now, knowing that it's in the F1 style that we wanted, make sure that the switch is tucked into the inside of the cab. Go ahead and press it in evenly and firmly. You don't have to worry about any of the new sealant or anything like that. It has a foam gasket that goes onto it. So just make sure that it's pressed in good, and then we're going to put our nuts back on the back of it. So I did just check, and the new one, so this is my old factory light. So the new nuts and the old nuts are the same thread pitch and everything. The only difference is the new ones are a little bit smaller. It looks like they use an 8mm socket instead of a 10. But they do have these kind of I guess I'd call them lock rings instead of, like anti-slip, anti-rattle. So I am going to go ahead and use these, as long as I don't drop that one. And then we're going to get this installed real quick. And same thing as before, in reverse order. I'm going to put the nuts into the socket. And then I'm going to reach up in here and try and guide it into the hole onto the stud. Now I did have to switch over to a 1/4 inch socket rather than a 3/8 before, so it should be a lot easier to locate that stud now. A quick tip for you, what I was able to do is I was able to take my finger with this finger on it and kind of stick it up in there and guide it onto that stud. So if we're looking at it up in there, basically I stuck my finger in and I found the stud like this, guided it on like so until it slid down in. And then you got to remember, as you're looking at it in the opposite direction, you're tightening as you're looking at it, you're going to be spinning counterclockwise. So if you're trying to think about it, because if it was straight on, it'd be righty-tighty, lefty-loosey. So you got to remember, coming from the back side, if you're trying to think about it, it's counterclockwise to tighten that. We'll get the other side put in real quick here. Now, if you're seeing this, I don't know if the camera's picking it up, but there's part of this little gasket that's sticking out. So I'm just going to use my little trim tool here and push it down in to make sure that all of that foam is sealed behind there. And you don't have to go crazy tight with these. You just want to get them pretty well snugged down. Remember, they're just little 8mm bolts. And now that we're done, peel that off. I think that that is a major improvement from the factory light there. In order to get these back up in here, so this metal piece slides into this one, just like so, and you're just going to push it in until it kind of clicks into place. And then I can do this one-handed. Hold that up there. Put this up into place. Snap the metal clip in. And once that's all in, take your little cover that we removed, and then that's what holds the metal piece from being able to collapse back onto itself. And then that's all secure, not going anywhere. And then just repeat the process on the other side. All right, install is complete of the Tacoma Lifestyle third brake light, LED, F1 integrated, whatever it's called. Final thoughts, is it worth it? I'm doing all blacked out stuff on mine. So I've got the smoke tail lights, I'm gonna do the headlights next. All the other lights are, for me, it was worth it because I'm also wrapping the roof and I didn't want the white light to stand out against the darkness that I'm wrapping the roof with. So for me, it was worth it. I don't know, I think they were on sale right now for like $70. Normal price, I think, is $79.99. So if you can catch them on sale, great. But for under $100, LED integrated, kind of has a cool feature. A lot of people were saying that the install was, difficult. I don't really think that it was that difficult. I think that it was actually pretty simple compared to a lot of other things that, we've installed on our vehicles. So, as far as difficulty rating, if you have the right tools, I'd say maybe 4, 3. I don't know. Like I said, it really wasn't that difficult. The hardest part was getting the old tape, the seam sealer tape off of there. It's kind of a foam, almost like a 3M double-sided. Now the new piece does come with a large foam, kind of an insulator. It does not have any sticky part on it. So if you do want that peace of mind of knowing that there's something glued there, then 3M does make a thin double-sided stick tape that you could put to it. My suggestion would be to stick it to the brake light side first to make sure that it's in the correct position, and then go ahead and run it around the outside. I'm not real concerned about it. The foam that's on the aftermarket one is probably 3 times the thickness that was on the factory one. So definitely by the time you squish it down there and tighten everything down, I don't think any moisture is going to get in there, but time will tell. Maybe I'll take it apart in a month or 2 and give you an update and see how it goes. Another short video today, pretty simple install. I don't think it was very difficult, like I said. Heading up to the Outdoor Expo in Prescott Valley this weekend. So if you see me walking around, say hi. We can chat about the truck, talk about the install, anything that you've got going on. Hope you enjoyed the install here and the review. I'll give you an update. Maybe I'll try and get some footage driving, going down the road, whatever, and see how it kind of performs there. So thank you for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe.